We're going to start recording right now.
Very good.
All right, we are live. So I just want to thank those of you who are here, either whether you're watching live or you're popping in and out. I'm Nicole with Creative Youth Collective. I'm the Chief Solution Wizard, which is quite a mouthful. And I help people basically solve whatever kind of problems they might have in their business. And we've got Gus and Kim who are here today. Kim's coming from Canada. And where
Yes.
again?
Oh, where am I? I'm in Lethbridge, Alberta.
Okay, Lethbridge. And Gus is in Missouri.
I am in Missouri. I'm in the middle of Missouri here, Jefferson City, the state capital.
Awesome. And I'm in San Francisco. So I love the fact that we can all hang out from various locations, have a conversation, and hopefully tell people, educate people about our topic today, which is attracting the social buddy who will invest. So
That's
I'd
a
also,
great topic.
yeah, and I'd love for each of you to go ahead and also introduce yourselves and tell a little bit about what it is that you do in your business. And then we'll go ahead and kick off the topic. So I'm going to ask Kim. Kim, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. So my name's Kim Seaver. I'm a copywriter and social media manager with Hot Pepper Communications over at hotpepper.ca. I've been writing and editing on and off for about 30 years. I've been blogging for about 15 and managing social media for about 10. No, actually about 12. Been managing my company for about 3 years. 3 years next month, actually. I've been doing it full time, and I started the company in 2011 on a part-time basis. That's pretty much me. Hot Pepper Communications specializes in writing, editing, and social media management.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thank you.
That's unique in this room, right?
Yeah, right. Well, my one thing that I love about your feed is that I feel that you do present a lot of really valuable information about how to communicate well, which there's one thing to be about social media, but it's a totally different thing about expressing yourself succinctly and using the proper words, which is one of my most drives me insane. So I really I love your feed, and I hope that people will go and follow you after today on Twitter and Instagram, as well as I know you have a Facebook page.
I do, yeah. I'm on LinkedIn, Google Plus, and Pinterest as well.
Awesome.
I appreciate your feedback. It's quite valuable, and I aim to provide practical feedback that people can use to improve how they communicate, whether it's in the written word or whether it's through social media. But much, I guess, is the written word as well, technically.
Yeah, and yeah, it's, I don't know. Like I said, you're one of the first people I started following, and I was like, I got to get this guy to come and do a blab with me. So thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
And go ahead, Gus. Tell us a little bit about your business.
Sure. I'm Gus Wagner from Jefferson City, Missouri. I own the Rocket Group. You see it behind me here. We're a full-service marketing firm working with clients that might be local small businesses, 1 or 2 person shops, all the way up into the Fortune 100, where we've been fortunate enough to work with companies like MasterCard and Phillips 66 on online endeavors. We pretty much do everything. We have a problem saying no to challenges or opportunities, but we do try to focus on building audiences and interacting with audiences online in the digital world for brands at all levels. The company is now 15 years old. We started back in 2001. Before that, I was a sales marketing manager for a couple different manufacturing firms throughout the Midwest, and threw out my shingle in 2001. What else do we do? So we're on all the channels. Rocket Group LLC, LarryCharlie.com is the website, and at Rocket Group you can find us across most of the social media channels as well.
And so your website is it the Rocket Group LLC? Was it
just Rocket Group LLC.com.
LLC.com. Okay, I've shared those.
There it is.
All of our websites over in the chat bar. And so First Dibs is here. First Dib joined us for our chat last week.
Oh, awesome.
2 weeks ago. Yeah, so let's go ahead and I guess bust into this, attracting the social buddy who will invest. I feel like that is one of the biggest questions that I hear is, I mean, aside from, okay, I understand that social is important to me, okay, as a business owner, whether it's on the ground or online, but it seems like it takes a lot of work to get those followers, and then how do I get them to invest? So let's talk about that today. How do you guys recommend to your clients, or in service work that you do, what is it that you do to attract those social buddies who will invest in services or products?
Kim, go ahead.
Sure. Well, what I always advise my clients is, well, I always point out that social media is different from traditional media. And with some clients, it's even potential clients more particularly. That's a difference that is important to make because a lot of them approach social media with the same perspective as traditional media, whereas traditional media is about pushing out a specific message, but it's always a one-way communication. You know, whether it's a television ad or whether it's a radio ad or a print ad or whatever it happens to be, there's a specific message, but it's one-way communication. There's no feedback. Social media is completely different. It has, I mean, it's called social media for a reason because there's a social aspect to it. And so that's what I always try to point out is that you can't approach it the same way as traditional media. You have to approach it in a way where you're engaging with people. You can't create a Twitter account, for example, and then just expect people to visit your website or give you a phone call or come into your store and place an order. They're not going to. You have to engage with the people on Twitter, and not just with customers, and not just with always the intent to make a sale. People on social media are interested in engaging with people in real, authentic ways. And if you're always interested in providing a sale, then that's not going to work.
So you just said something that was very important, which is that you can't be focused on just making a sale. Last time we had our Blab, we talked about real life ROI, and I think that you really touched on an important thing, because when, like you said, in regular media, it's a one-way communication. You're hoping that they'll go and come into your store and make a purchase and whatnot, but there are other returns on investment through social, and so you might have to engage with them in such a way that they'll follow you first, or follow industry leaders who will support the position that you're sending out in other messages, or and also we were talking, I think, about the fact that word of mouth has actually elevated to the point that I may be following you on Twitter, and I may not actually be the one to go and purchase your services, but being an informed person with all these people in my feed, I am now the one who tells my husband, oh, there's a special going on at the dealership, or there's this massage place, been really well spoken about, go there. So the word of mouth is kind of taken up a notch through social.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something that it's really difficult to measure, because well, as you already pointed to, businesses who engage on social media can end up getting new customers coming in that don't engage with them on social media, but are becoming new customers because of referrals they receive from people who have engaged with those companies. That they end up placing themselves as experts in a particular field, or as being able to provide solutions to a particular problem. And when that problem arises with somebody they know, then that's when they make that referral. And so it's really difficult to be able to measure that.
So I'm going to actually come back to that point in terms of the measure. I feel that the ROI is always a point of conversation when we're talking about these things. But Gus, what do you want to share in here?
Well, I think the first thing that we talk about when we talk to folks that either we're doing business with or a training session with us or just in our social media audience alone, don't go out there and try to chase the vanity metrics to get 1,000 likes or 10,000 followers and such if those people can't do business with you. And that's from a perspective of people who have physical locations. If there's an example here that happened in Jefferson City that I often use, where there was a coffee shop that opened up, and it was kind of out of the way location. But all of a sudden, people started talking because they had 5,000 Facebook fans in a very short amount of time. Well, myself being the savvy person, I did a little investigating, and you can go through and click somebody's likes, or at least used to be able to. It would tell you basic statistics about who the audience was, not the actual names of the people that had liked their page. And here was this coffee shop that was maybe 200 square foot with 5,000 Facebook fans, and their largest city of fan concentration was San Francisco. So I don't know if you know them, Nicole, but that shop is now a former coffee shop because there was no social proof. Because every time you drive by the place, it would be empty, but yet here everybody was talking about their 5,000 Facebook fans. It was a vanity metric. It was people that couldn't do business with them. I thought it was a good example, good real world example of that. What we try to teach people to do is that this is not some silver bullet that's going to cure everything. It's not going to take the place of all of your 100% of your marketing mix. This is extra spice for your marketing mix, but it's the channel that's available and affordable, targetable, and 24/7 for you, because that's when your audiences are on these social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, what have you. You have to be, first off, active and consistent. But most importantly, you either have to educate, inform, or entertain with all of your content. And if you do that, you're going to be interesting. You're going to be somebody that people want to get engaged with. You're going to engage with you and click your links, go to your website, come to your store if you have a retail location, if you do have a storefront. Put your personality out there. Do things that can separate you from everybody else, because you're not in competition with, if you're the coffee shop, you're not in competition with Starbucks down the street or another mom and pop shop around the corner. You're in competition with every one of your fans' news feeds on Facebook and timelines on Twitter, all their friends, all their family, all their sports teams, all their music pages that they like, everything. We're all perfect little snowflakes. It's the only time in the world that we are individual snowflakes is in our social media feeds. And our coffee shops, our marketing companies, our car dealerships, whatever, we have to rise above the white noise of everybody else's social media content. So educate, inform, and entertain, and try to get 2 of those 3, and you'll be very successful.
Yeah, and I just wanted to touch on one point about competing with Starbucks. I mean, that's being the traditional approach in the business world is everybody's your competition. But social media allows you to collaborate. It allows you to be able to get together with like-minded companies, like-minded people, and to be able to produce content that together that other people can benefit from. And that's one of the things that I was talking about before about engaging. That's one way to be able to engage with your followers rather than just trying to think everybody else is the enemy. And you're trying to get all these followers, and you're upset when somebody follows a traditional competitor.
That's a great point. And you know what? Honestly, I wish I saw more of that in the world. I hate to use the coffee shop example, but the real world example is a coffee shop example. I get tired of seeing folks saying, "Well, for the price of a cup of coffee, you could do Save Sally Struthers Kids or what have you." I don't see a lot of collaboration in the markets we operate in between organizations, businesses and organizations, even low-hanging fruit like, say, a car dealership helping the March of Dimes. I don't even see anything like that really taking place in social media and here in our Midwest markets. Do you guys see that in yours? Nicole's in the big city, so I'm sure she sees everything.
I mean, I've seen a little bit of it. In fact, actually, that's one of the strategies I've taken recently for one of my clients. It's an auto body mechanical repair and collision repair shop. Okay, so they're small. It's basically got a mom and pop type setup, but what I've done to assist them is reaching out to people who would be likely to bring their cars in to that area, or connect with people who would recommend them. So realtors, staging companies, other businesses that are around there. I've been retweeting if I've found anything that is, you know, in the vicinity. They have an account. So yeah, I feel like that's one of the really big things that we have to wrap our minds around, is the concept of collaboration versus competition. And in fact, another great example that I saw recently was in a group that I follow on Facebook. There was a discussion about doing providing product for a blogger to review it and then, you know, link back to your site or whatnot. And someone actually said, you know what I've found to be the best is I pair up with another handmade jewelry maker, and my jewelry is different from their jewelry, but we're targeting people who like bracelets and jewelry generally speaking. So I actually sent them one of my bracelets, and they sent me some of their bracelets. So what they did is took a photo of their bracelets and my bracelet on their wrist at the same time. So they just hit two birds with one stone. They're like, here's our product is great. Here's their product is also great and complements what we offer here. So I could see partnerships with, I'm thinking of like with this auto body shop, coffee shop, a nearby coffee shop, a nearby dry cleaner, a nearby nail salon, you know, any of those kinds of things. What can you do in the half an hour while you're waiting for an oil change or a service to be done that's nearby that you can walk to? That almost seems like a duh, right?
Yeah.
But we are so paralyzed by the traditional media sense. Well, I'm going to make an ad, I'm going to put it in a paper, and people are going to see it and come to me. Or I'm going to make a radio ad, or and yes, I'll be talking, I'm going to tell them about my stuff, but that's not the same thing as making connections where people would already be using or wanting to engage with your product based on several factors, which are demographic based, things like the amount of money they may spend, the person who's making the decision to spend the money, the typical user of your product, the age range. If you're in that key demographic from, when I say 25 to 45, where those are the people with the spendable income. And, you know, so it's really good to know who are those other businesses in your area that can complement and pair up with. You guys see?
No, that's a great idea.
Seen any of that, or have you recommended any of those particular situations to your clients, or specifically seen any really beautiful unions transpire that way?
I haven't seen anything notable, but I've seen that online to a degree, but nothing as concrete as what you're describing. And Lethbridge isn't that large of a community; it's about 100,000. But even then, you know, there isn't really a lot of. I haven't really noticed a lot of that happening here either.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't either. We've had experiences where some of larger clients maybe came in to support or host or sponsor smaller events from smaller organizations, and you know, we approached it as a collaboration, and they approached it as, oh, you're going to do all the work and all the publicity for us. So you know, that's what ended up happening, because we needed to put butts in seats, but you know, it didn't work out the way it was intended to.
Yeah, and on that note, it isn't even just about companies competing with each other. Like I had this one client, one of my longest running clients, and one of their main competitors contacted me. They actually located in the same community outside of Lethbridge, but contacted me about setting up their social media accounts for them because they were ready to get on social media. And my client just blew a gasket because they couldn't believe that I would reach out to him and that I would provide the service for another company. But I have lots of clients out there. It's funny because there's a company in town, and they started out doing marketing, just general marketing, and then noticed that there was a trend towards credit unions. And so they started providing websites and marketing solutions to credit unions. And at first it seemed like a conflict, but now it's something that's specialized. So I guess if you have two clients in the same industry, it's a competition. But if you have 3 or more, now you're specializing in that area.
Thing of that hurdle of having, just one or like the two part. You know, 3's a crowd, but then it's like, well, you know a lot about that particular niche, I guess.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's cool. Something that we've been trying to empower people to do, I'll say, through their, specifically their Facebook pages, and most small, medium, and even large organizations we brought this up with don't even think to do it, is to actually go out and act as their brand on Facebook. Go out and like the local chambers of commerces, the other businesses and such. We talk about, the smaller scale stuff that we're in the small business world. If the coffee shop down the street or the credit union down the street starts interacting with the auto body shop or the local realtor, now we're getting a little bit, hey, at least they've got their ears on and they're paying a little bit of attention, not much. I know I geek out when one of my I'll take a concert photo and then the band will, or their person will like that picture on Instagram or something. I still geek out about that. So we try to teach people to treat their fans like the rock fans that they are, and treat their community as well, to build that community spirit even within the bigger world of social media. A town like Jefferson City with 2,000, 2,500 some businesses, there's no reason why a large chunk of those people can't be interacting with each other and helping each other succeed.
I mean, doesn't it make sense? In fact, one of the things that I posted on my Instagram a week or two ago was that people invest in people. And I think that if you're working with a small or medium-sized business, there's the business-to-business sales, but there's the business-to-client sales. And I feel like if you can actually almost be, I'm not saying customer-to-customer sales, but a little bit of that, right? Like I feel like people who are out there in the world, I feel like realtors are actually a perfect networking opportunity for a small service-based business, right? That if you're located in an area and you see that several, and I wouldn't even not keep it to one realtor. I would, with all the realtors in the area, try to connect with them and share some of their stuff, saying, hey, there's houses over here for sale. But then they'll be like, oh, hey, you need to get your car tuned up. I went to that guy and he's good. And you know how I knew about that is because he kept sharing my stuff. So I was like, who's this guy, right? And then one thing leads to another. Obviously, he's coming to your shop, or maybe like it's your cleaner shop, maybe it's your coffee shop, whatever it is, and enjoyed the experience there because it was personal, like projected in your social. And then, so I feel like you should be a person who engages with people. I think it's fair to say, as a business, we enjoy this other business, what they're bringing to the game. They complement what we need in this way. And I feel like that's just to me, it's a no-brainer. And then also when you're an abstract business, right, where you're online and you don't have a physical location, then what do you do? So I'm gonna put that out there now for online-based businesses that have no physical location. What are your thoughts about attracting the buddy who will invest?
Another thing that we try to stress with folks is that let me back it up a second. It's social media, especially Instagram. People make fun of it because it's, oh, well, look what I had for breakfast, look what I had for dinner, look what I had for lunch, that kind of stuff. People posting food pictures. And that's one of our hidden rules of social media, is never look at social media when you're hungry, actually, because you'll be even more hungry. But what we try to teach people to do is to do that, because if you're having a pleasurable experience, you're having a great dining experience, go ahead and check in at that place. Go ahead and post your picture of that place. Go ahead and tell your friends, hey, I had this great burger, I had this great steak, I had this great salad, whatever it was that you had, because these are supposed to be our Facebook friends, right? Don't we want to have them enjoy the same things we do, or at least know about the things that we might enjoy because they might enjoy them as well? Second tier to that is it also supports that business. We're giving our tacit endorsement of that salad shop, of that burger shop, and it helps them to grow their audience, grow their awareness, and puts that burger top of mind in our Facebook friends who can actually buy that burger from them. So we call that share then like. Share the experience, share somebody else's content, share something that somebody else has said using the share button on Facebook or retweet or what have you before you like it. Because it's right there next to the like button. It's right there next to the favorite button, what have you. I guess it's like now on Twitter. But use that share tool just as much, because it allows you to spread to your audience, which is the goal of all of this, to reach the audience of audiences. Get those messages out there rippling around, and maybe your burger place goes viral just like some cat in a piano.
Yeah, right?
Absolutely. Like a few months ago, I held a Twitter chat, and the topic was about using, well, at the time it was the favorite button on Twitter, but now it's the like button, and how it's a really horrible way to engage with your followers because it doesn't do anything. Like Twitter, the algorithm Twitter uses doesn't take likes into consideration. It doesn't post content on people's timelines saying, 5 of your followers have liked this tweet, so we think you're going to like it as well. So none of your followers ever see anything that you like. The only people who ever see it are the people who created the content that you like. And so it's just a really bad way to engage with content on Twitter. And so, yeah, I totally agree with you guys that it's really easy for you to be able to share something. And I don't understand why over the last year or so, there's been this tendency to move away from resharing content on Twitter to just simply liking it. And it takes one extra click. It's 1 click to like and 2 clicks to retweet. I mean, you don't even have to use the new retweeting format where you can provide a comment when you retweet. You could just still use the conventional retweeting method. And so it just doesn't make any sense why people are less willing to engage. But on that note, this is something else I've discussed recently on my blog, is that there are some people who have a tendency to only retweet. They never comment on other people's content, and they never post their own content. One thing I like to do is if somebody retweets me, I like to bring up their Twitter profile and I like to see if there's anything related to the work that I do that I can retweet for them as a way to reciprocate the generosity that they gave me. But every once in a while, I come across a profile and there's nothing there except for retweets. I can't find any content any tweets that they crafted by themselves. And so in that case, it's really difficult for you engaging. So it's one thing to be able to reshare other people's content, but you can't have that be all that it is. You need to be able to engage in other ways as well. Crafting together a reply that you retweeted something, but maybe indicate why you're retweeting it. What was it in that article that really stood out to you? What was it that made you want to reshare it? What was it in that infographic that you wanted to share? It's something that really spoke to you. Share that, because then it's gonna, not only will it tell the person that you found their information more valuable, but it's also going to tell your followers why you found it valuable, and it may engage them to engage with that content as well.
One of my social media mentors, I guess you'll say, is I don't know if you know him, Jeff Kinney Pulver, and Jeff is one of the guys who basically invented the marketing for voice over internet protocol. I can't remember the name of the company now. It's the one with they got the stack of bills and people calling overseas in the commercials. It's that company, Vonage, right? Is it Vonage? Anyway, he always said that 120 is greater than 140. And this was, several years ago, but it still applies, because you tweet something to 120, it allows people to retweet you, because now it's going to pull your address, your handle in, and eat up some characters. But it also gives them space to say, "Hey, cool," or "Hey, this is great," or "You should read this." It gives them space to offer their opinion. So that's something I've tried to pay forward to folks: is 120 is greater than 140, even in this modern age where we can quote tweets and everything that changes. Maybe we've got 10,000 characters next week. Who knows?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I find myself, when I'm curating content and I come across a blog post every once in a while with this super long headline, and I have to decide how I'm going to cut it down, because I want to include their username So I can give them props. I want to be able to include popular hashtags so more people will see it. And it's difficult to do it when their headline is 100 words.
First Dibs, you want to join the conversation? You're welcome to join. So I want to take a moment. Oh, looks like Kim went to audio only.
Down goes Kim.
Yeah. And also, thanks First Dibs for tweeting about our Blab here. So
Thanks, Dibs.
So one of the things that I feel like we maybe need to educate people about is the concept of viral. I mean, I feel like it's almost such a silly thing. Like we hear about, oh, going viral, right? Going viral, a bunch of people have seen your thing, but how does that work? Well, it starts with the sharing, but it also starts with providing something that's worth sharing, right? Something that will create that urge to say something that will, make other people pick up on it, and also capturing either that moment, that feeling. Typically, it's a feeling, right? That I feel like that makes something viral. If you look at a lot of the things that do go viral, there's something that either makes you laugh or hurt, cry. It's dramatic drama in it. So, I mean, that's something to consider when you are either creating content of your own or creating something that is shareable content for another. So I feel like that actually may be a really great topic to have a conversation about in the near future, is the concept of viral. How does that work? You can understand how to either assist someone else or assist yourself in curating that situation. And then also the value of the share system. So the value of the share system is different by platform. Facebook and Twitter, like Kim was just saying, that the heart liking on Twitter doesn't do squat to to amplify the voice that you're putting out there. So maybe we need to talk about that, because I mean, I feel like the reason that a lot of people come to social media experts is because, one, they engage with it a little bit, but they don't quite understand the full value or how to do it themselves. But I feel that it's essential for our clients to be a part of that conversation. To side note, one of the biggest frustrations I have about things like Hootsuite or some of those other management tools is that I don't want to just do it for my client. I want them to understand a little bit about what they're doing so that they can be a part of the investment of that social thing that I'm helping create for them. Like in general, I like to start something and get it kind of like going, but I don't want to be the one that like keeps it going forever, because if I go away, then what do you have? You're gonna have to start either all over again, or someone's gonna have to pick up where I left off, which we see. And
they won't be as good.
It's gonna be a different voice, right? It's hard to carry that.
Sure.
Yeah,
you touched on the heart emotion there. We do a lot of advocacy work. We've done a 400 political campaigns over the last 15 years. We look at it in the form of hearts and minds. There's two different types of thinkers in the world. There are two different types of people who are only going to be attracted to getting involved in some sort of advocacy effort, and that's people that we can impact their heads or their hearts. And getting them to spur to real world action, that's the longest journey, from the head to the heart to the butt, to get that butt out of the seat. But if we can get them to even just sharing content or retweeting content or commenting or interacting with our content, that's a huge part to going viral. And I know things go viral, but I don't think it's very often that it's something that is at the scope and scale that we're talking about here. Like I said, we've run campaigns up in the Fortune 100, and it was moving boulders up mountains to try to get people to care about it, because it was such a large brand. So even though we were directly doing an education campaign that impacted their wallets, and it was financial sense of financial literacy, it was still a huge task to get people to care about it. So we hit them in the hearts and the heads, or hearts in the heads, by talking to them about their children, talking about the students, the peers, the community, and such, that they needed this education, which then allowed us to get into further audiences where we did get those people advocating for us on behalf of the program. So it's, we can't all be Gangnam Style, we can't all be cat videos, we can't be all be stuff like that. People try to make stuff to go viral, and very rarely does it go viral. I think it's just something that happens through the course of nature.
Yes, but at the same time, I think you can be vigilant of the hearts and the minds part when you're creating something. If you're creating content that ever like has the potential to go viral, like you can't make it go viral. I mean, theoretically, if you have maybe
if you have the budget, if
you had a solid network of like 3 to 5 people who are like, hey, I just posted this, it's hilarious, and you maybe get them to pick up on it, unless they're already looking to you and be like, oh, that's amazing, and they're gonna push it. But that's only gonna get it started. Viral picks up on its own. But obviously the first part is having it on the right platform and the right, maybe at the right time of day and the right day. Some of that does impact it, so there's value in knowing those things. But at the very least, you can still be conscientious of the kind of content you're posting, in so much that you're targeting the heart and the mind, because those are the ways in which you're gonna be able to get that. You're never gonna see a viral post about we're offering a special on hot sauce. Magic.
or hot peppers.
You like and share so you can get 50% off.
Right. Yeah. Like, great. I mean, those are the things you're seeing as posted content. Unless you did it wrong, then you'll see it go viral, and maybe you'll get something out of that.
Let's talk about that for a second. The whole discounting to grow audience, discounting, like this post for 50% off, that kind of stuff. It does create a business it does create an audience that will do business with you, but it's probably an audience that would do business with you once, and it's probably not an audience that you want to deal with for repeat business, because they're looking for that bargain. A lot of the times that we've done contests and discounts for clients, it's turned into those supermarket shoppers with the big binders full of coupons. I don't know if you guys do that, so I don't want to offend you or anything, but those are people that are not going to have a positive impact on the profit margin if they're constantly chasing the discount and the coupon and such. So, aim for the middle, work the extremes, but aim for that middle audience has been our mantra and secret to success, or one of the secrets to success. I just gave away a secret.
So actually, on that point, I'm working with a hairstylist client, and she had made a transition from one hair studio to another, where she was kind of employed as an employee before, and now she's working as an independent. And she was so nervous when she made that move that she said, I was discounting left and right. Well, when I started working with her in November, I think is when, maybe a little bit before that, she started to tune that out. She does not use any discounts. And she told me one week she got 4 new referrals on one day and 2 new referrals on another day. She's been amazing in her social. I've been seeing a lot of interaction. It's stuff that's related to what she offers, which is hair services, but also she's in their consciousness now. I've seen a bunch of people like, oh, I need to get in with you soon. Oh, that's awesome. I want to have that on my hair, So she's taking that experience, extending it beyond the salon, and now she's getting those referrals back. On top of, I saw another one who said, I saw your 5-star, like your 35-star ratings, and I was like, obviously that was an easy choice to come and visit you, and it was amazing. So I'm actually going to transition from that really quick into what are the value of referrals on places like Facebook and some of the other socials. I mean, Facebook is one of the biggest places where it captured. But
go ahead, Kim.
Yeah, well, I've had a handful of people reach out to me on Facebook saying that a contact or a friend of theirs have referred me to them. But I mean, as far as like the reviews, and I don't know if you were referring to things like Facebook reviews and that sort of thing, but I'm not sure that I've received a lot of impact from things like that. I just don't get the impression that people. I don't run a brick and mortar business, so maybe that's the approach that I'm taking.
Have you asked for the review?
Yeah, I have in the past, but and same with Twitter recommendations. Facebook, LinkedIn recommendations. It's difficult to get people to do recommendations. I just happened to get 2 recommendations last month from 2 past clients. One of them hadn't been a client in over a year and just decided going to give me a recommendation all of a sudden. And I sent them a recommendation a year and a half ago. So I don't know. I'm not sure that that it helps me much. But again, I don't run a brick and mortar business, and I would venture to say that, say, a pizza joint might get better results from things like Facebook reviews.
First Dibs is saying that almost all of my clients have come from word of mouth or referrals on Facebook.
Yeah, I can't speak to Facebook specifically, but certainly all of my clients have come from word of mouth. None of them have come from any traditional marketing that I've done, and none of them have come from cold calling. Maybe I just suck at cold calling. Yeah, all of mine come from word of mouth. All of them, not some through Facebook, but most of them are usually like students, like graduate students, things like that.
Yeah, I haven't had anything like that for ourselves personally, as far as the Facebook 5-star system. We've had a few instances where, for some reason, people that we didn't even do business with or don't even know us have gotten in and given us low-star ratings for some reason. Who knows?
Yeah.
That'll happen.
Well, and that's another thing too. Is like I have a feeling that some people don't understand the difference between a 1-star and a 5-star. Because I've received 1-stars from people who I thought we did fantastic work for. And I just wonder if maybe they mean 1-star is the best rating.
Right.
So I'm not sure that it's a very intuitive system. It makes sense to me. Like, I watch movies and you see the way that they rate movies based on a star system and that sort of thing, but I guess it doesn't make sense to everybody.
Something that has happened to us, though, is that people we've done work with or continue to do work with come and give us a like on the Rocket Group page. And, we do a lot of, because it's Facebook, we do a lot of Facebook education through that channel, but, we'll sneak in some promotion about every 2 out of 10 posts is our goal on that. And they'll see something else that we do that we're not currently doing for them. And then we'll expand our business with them because they're seeing stuff that we're posting or being proactive with through the Facebook page. So then that's a good experience.
Fair enough. I think that's actually a really good point in that almost encourage your current clients to like you on Facebook because they may become aware of a service either that you don't currently offer or do offer, but they're not aware of. If you think about it, what you'll ask any person for is based on context. So if the context is set up for you in such that, like, I may review a menu like 10 times, but until I'm looking for a thing, I wouldn't even notice that it's there. So that's one thing. It helps to communicate that it's available.
Well, there's something in the menu thing. It popped in my mind. Do you know about the fajita effect?
No.
The fajita effect is if there are 10 people in a restaurant and they're all sitting there looking at the menu, they keep flipping back and forth. They don't know what they want. And somebody orders fajitas and the waiter walks through the restaurant with it. They'll sell 5 to 7 more fajita plates. Just from that walkthrough, because everybody goes, hey, that sounds good. The sizzle, the smell, everything's great. I'm getting fajitas now. So yeah, if you can get somebody to put a fajita, talk about your fajita, or you're showing your fajita, you're going to get more ripple off of that.
Absolutely. I think that's. I was going to say something. One thing I have noticed, and maybe this is a part to the demographics, like where you're at, location-wise, how many people are there. Being new to San Francisco area, I look up Facebook reviews all the time. If I'm gonna go to a bar or a restaurant that has 4, 4.5, or 5-star review over some place, and even if it's only like, if it's usually like 5 to 10 at least, it's like my minimum to like validate someone. But obviously, the more reviews you get, the better to me it is, and or seeing quality reviews like I like this food or whatever. Atmosphere was good, or because even if someone low marked someone, if it's something that's actually valid to me, that would be useful to know, right? Like that I actually like a dive bar. They didn't like a dive bar. They gave it a 3. I would give it a 5. So those kinds of things help me differentiate when I'm going to look for something. Am I going to go to maybe a store? Am I going to go for a service? Am I going to go for somewhere where I want to be entertained? Those are the kinds of things I do look for. And then I also think that this is another thing I was thinking of, which would be a great another topic to discuss in the near future, is how to be a good social buddy. So I think there's the one part is attracting those people and that they will invest. And you're talking about the fact that you have to invest to get investment back. To me, that's the theme of this conversation, is that you have to do a little bit of work and you'll likely get something back. To the point that social is social, it's a community exchange. But I think that expecting people to invest in you is one thing, but expecting yourself to invest in others and knowing how to do that well is a slightly different topic. So if you're at a place, give a review. If you're at a place and you love a burger, take a photo, drop it on Instagram. If you're at a place and there's something really cool going on that satisfies those heart and mind values that you have, then you are being a good social buddy. And being a good social buddy to me will attract quality social buddies. They're either location-based, and I'm going to take a small moment and detour into demographic-based.
I just want to respond to what you were just talking about. I have an experience that it just came to my mind. So a couple years ago, I was working on a massive project. It was almost 100 pages of content that I had to edit. And it took me a couple of days to work through it. And I posted on Twitter and say, oh, phew, that was really hard work or something like that. And a national tap house chain noticed that. I guess they were looking for specific keywords and tweets and whatever else. And they responded to it and say, hey, it sounded like that wore you out, and we'd like to treat you to a night out on us. And they said the only thing that we require is for you to, tweet out what you're eating and to tell people what you think of the place. So it's really simple for me to be able to do, right? And in the long run, it didn't cost them really that much. It's just peanuts compared to how much the place was packed, and so they made a lot more money off everybody else who was there, and hardly lost anything on us. But at the same time,
unless that whole place was Twitter people.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that, but but they got that extra engagement from somebody, right? And it was all about the goodwill that they created. It didn't really require a lot of investment on their part.
Right. I mean, that's a fairly decent exchange. I almost feel like that would be a great opportunity is look for a person to invite them to invite them to your home. I would love to have you come and check this out. I'm going to do this one thing for you for free. That's actually way better to me than doing donations and stuff. Because first of all, you identify a person who is potentially being an influencer in their space. So you know that they've got an audience, people are listening to them. And then additionally, you can treat that person. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I like giving gifts. It makes me feel good to, give something that I feel like someone will appreciate. And then even if it's a positive feedback, you'll get that in social. If it's negative feedback, you'll have the opportunity to grow or make that improvement in your service or your product.
So regarding the social buddy that you're saying that we should all be, and I agree with you. Are you being the social buddy currently before, during, or after the transaction?
I think when you're starting, you need to be, before. You need to be the good social buddy before, when you're growing your social. I think you need to be during, when you're, at a point where you're seeing some return. And I think after, when you continue to see the opportunity to support others who may be in their upward growth. So find those other accounts that maybe are of people that are around you that are new. How are ways that you can find a way to bring them up by leveraging your network? I feel that there's always an opportunity to return that around. So does it get more difficult, I think, to be a good social buddy as your social following grows? Potentially, because there's a lot of people to interact with. But at the same time, I think there's value in all of those places before, during, and after. I think it's about being considerate.
Yeah, I've generally been a before person, but I've gradually moved to during. But I've had a couple of experiences recently where I Instagram, Facebook, hey, having drinks here, hey, having dinner here. And as soon as I did that, it jinxed it, and the experience went downhill shortly thereafter. So, and people showed up because I was Facebooking that I was at this place, and I don't know if they had great service or indifferent service or what, but I felt like a dope. So my new rule is after, especially with drinks.
Okay, so I didn't follow I didn't know what you were meaning by that. But
okay.
say I'm an after person because I want to experience it. I need to have that experience, you know, so I can get through the whole thing to have something to say about it. I think that it's fair to do it if you want. If you want to attract people to where you're at, that's up to you. But I wouldn't talk about the experience until it's complete, because first of all, it can change. And again, I think that even if you were going to write something really nice about somebody and then it changed by the end, I would say I was going to give this a 5-star up until X, and then you lost me at Y. So here's some things that you can do to get that 5-star from me next time. I've done that on tip cards, and I've told people in person. I feel like, I mean, there's a difficulty, I think, in separating a business transaction and the personal experience matter. Like, for example, waitress or waiter is likely to take, that energy they're putting into it and not really maybe feel a little bit hurt that you're not appreciating what they're doing. But at the same time, if they can think about it in terms of their business situation, like, oh, okay, I could have been doing this or that a little bit better. I'll try to be more vigilant when I've got these other challenges going on. I mean, there's always a challenge in that, but I feel like it's better to be upfront and honest about something than to let those opportunities go by.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
That was a little side rant. Okay, here's what I wanted to talk about really quick before we wrap up. We've got about 10 minutes left. So another thing about attracting a social buddy who will invest is looking for followers who are likely to invest. So one of the things that I actually have been doing is I do a benchmarking process in general with a lot of my clients, and it's quasi competitive review, but it's also like a comparison, contraction. I want to see what other people are doing, but I also want to find out what are the tags and the terms, the demographic that I'm trying to target. So if I'm trying to sell something in a particular location, I might be looking for people who identify in their bio tags that they're from that area or within a certain vicinity of that area. If I'm an online business, or let's say I'm an artist that I'm working with, I'm going to look up what are the tags that are people would be using to either identify themselves or would be engaging with. So, is it going to be abstract painting? Might actually be attracting other abstract painters, and they're not going to buy your stuff. However, I'm going to go to a different account now. It's a free books website that I work with. Even putting in free books, okay, that's awesome. But raising readers is actually more relevant because people who are looking for the hashtag raising readers are looking for and sharing information about raising a reader. Also, I was looking, using a hashtag like mom. Okay, well, that may be identifying as mom, but what about a crunchy mom? Somebody who's a crunchy mom may have a specific way in which they engage with their children. Homeschool challenges, things like that it may draw my piece into their conversation that would either make them want to consume the books on the site, potentially look at the ads that are on that site, which are the driving force of the income for that site, or reach out and say, I would love to share a book on your site or write for your blog. For me, those are additional kinds of returns on investment, even though it may not be someone necessarily want to read my book. But if they want to write for me, then maybe I can tag along on their following.
Whenever I get a new client, especially on Twitter, that's one of the first things that I research. I check out the people who they follow, check out who interact with their content, and see what are the popular hashtags where they hang out at, and then try to use that not only to take advantage and more traffic to their tweets, but as well as to use as a source for content to curate later on. So yeah, I totally agree with being able to look for the hashtags that will really attract the people you're looking for, and that's a great way to find conversations to take part in as well. So that's a big part of engaging with people on social media, participating in those conversations.
Yeah, I wish it was that easy for us. We do work with the large scale clients, but most of our work is very, very Missouri and Midwest regional focused, where people don't use. I'm looking for it. Where's it at? Somewhere I have the hashtag that's in my profile photo. I was going to show it off on the screen here. But anyway, they don't use the hashtag as much as they should, and be as collaborative, be more community oriented. Getting people to use our chosen hashtag for Jefferson City is a huge task that people haven't really accomplished. So I use tools like what am I using? Hashtagify. .me, #addit, things like that, and then just a regular Twitter search, doing the advanced search on Twitter can help you pull out some conversations. But generally, our experience has been that we have to lead the conversation around a certain hashtag and then bring folks to that through other methods, be it ongoing content, advertising, engaging other hashtags, things like that.
Yeah, I've been on Twitter for about 9 years, and so I was one of the early adopters in Lethbridge. In fact, when I was on in the beginning in Lethbridge, there were only a handful of us, and we all worked at the local university, and so we pretty much used Twitter as a chat room. And then as more and more people got on, it started to grow into something else. And actually, almost all the people who used to participate in that chat hardly ever interact on Twitter anymore. I'm one of the few people who are still there. But what I've been able to watch is the evolution of how location-based content is created in Twitter. At the beginning, no one ever used hashtags. Well, first of all, hashtags didn't exist. Well,
right.
People used them, but Twitter wasn't integrating them into its UI. But for the longest time, people would just use the word Lethbridge. And then after a few years, they started the hashtag Lethbridge. And there was a little bit of discussion, actually, at one point, whether to switch from Lethbridge to using the airport code, which is only 3 letters long. Lethbridge is like 9 letters long. And but the hashtag Lethbridge is so ingrained into the social conversation that there was a little bit of a backlash, but ultimately YQL took over. But there's still people using the hashtag Lethbridge, and so you see a lot of that. But not only that, you see it in other things like the hashtag for a local city councilor. Well, at one point there was an election going on, the 2010 election, and that's really when Twitter started to be integrated into local discussions about municipal elections. And there was a hashtag used, Leth, shortened for Lethbridge, Leth Vote. And so that was the hashtag we were using at the time. And then after the election, people kept using Leth Vote to discuss things and initiatives that the city council was working on. But then there was some discussion about, well, why are we still using this hashtag? It has nothing to do with the election anymore. And so then this LethCC, Lethbridge City Council hashtag came up. But so you have this Lethbridge hashtag, you have these hybrid hashtags, Leth something, and then you have the YQL hashtag. And so there's just this massive collection of hashtags that you have to keep track of if you want to be aware of location-based content.
So, I mean, and that's actually something, so I'm like a little bit of a data nerd and I'm attributes. So, I mean, I think it's actually something we should really be conscientious of and almost as your hashtag list. Like I do that, somewhere like a hashtag analysis, who would be the intended.
I didn't know you were a celebrity.
But like, know that the conversation will change, and just because you designate a hashtag doesn't mean that it's necessarily always going to refer to the initial thing, that it can be picked up and repurposed, I suppose is the word, and bring new meaning. Also, I think if you feel that you don't have one that's great for your local space, Grand Rapids, Michigan, where I'm from, has a couple that are very popular, and the business that I use there, Shop GR, the GRAP, but there's a couple of them, and Experience GR is a business that reflects things that are going on in Grand Rapids, but that's a popular one to pick up on, just like Pure Michigan. So, yeah, knowing what those are and maybe how they will, engage your audience. There's something that speaks specifically to a thing that's going around in that demographic. It doesn't describe that demographic. It's a thing that floats around in that. And to know what those are, but know that they are likely to change, so you have to do it on an occasion, like an analysis.
Here's a hashtag case study that I'll give you, and please pay it forward and tell people about it. Always search your hashtag before you use it. I know that we know that, but tell the others that might not know that. Just up the road, our cousins to the north of here is Columbia, Missouri, home of the University of Missouri, and for generations it's been called COMO, C-O-M-O. So it came time for them to adapt, and that's been in their marketing, it's been their tourism marketing and such. So they adapted it as the community hashtag. Well, hashtag COMO is also half the words in the Spanish language. So everything regarding Columbia, Missouri gets lost in all the Spanish language conversation because it's how at home and all these other things that people are using as proper nouns and proper verbs and such in these, half the world tweets and social media messages. But they can't change the name of the town, so they're working with the hand they've been dealt with.
So we have to read it to find out what happened with the Como. I'm having feel because Como's I eat.
Right. I eat, como se llama, what is, it's what, I think it's home in some tenses, or so, I don't know. There's all kinds of stuff in there. But to find the stuff about Shakespeare's Pizza or Missouri Tigers stuff, you have to scroll.
Well, see, and that's another thing too related to Lethbridge again, is YQL is also the hashtag for the Yahoo query language. And so if you're watching the QL feed, every once in a while you come up across a techie tweet. It's like, what the heck is it all about? It took me a while to figure out what it was all about.
Right.
All right, so I'm gonna wrap this up with a little bit of a summary in that attracting a social buddy who will invest is about being a social buddy that someone would want to invest in. I think it's centered around engaging, right? It's centered around engaging, so that means sharing quality content, things that drive towards the heart and the head of your potential followers, being a person and not just business or a brand, saying things that, sharing information that will be valuable to yourself as well as others in your community, or at least your social community at the very least. To be vigilant of the ways in which you share or reshare information, and then not to expect that someone's going to automatically invest in you. So give them a reason to invest. But I think through things like being aware of the hashtags or the conversations that are either going on in the circle of those people from whom you would like an investment, can get you kind of into those circles as a little like, hello, but you have to be valuable once you're there. Does that sound like a decent summary?
Absolutely.
Great. Yeah, and all the collaboration that we talked about, those are great stuff. Great pieces that we talked about, getting the local and the small and the medium and whatever brands to collaborate with each other, building those online communities. It's going to be a very, very successful strategy.
Yeah, and I think it's important to recognize that that all the industries may be different based on your target end result, right? I mean, I could see where it would be a little bit awkward maybe for one auto body shop to collaborate with another auto body shop, unless perhaps they were serving potentially lapping markets by demographic, but still far enough away that either go here or go there, or one provided one service that they were really, really good at and the other one wasn't. There could be affiliate relationship there, I don't know. But I think that they're at the same time a jewelry provider and a jewelry provider could potentially work if they were serving a similar market yet not sharing the same kind of product. So be vigilant of the kinds of relationships you want to create. Also recognize that you can be non-political in that, let's say you want to partner up with a real estate agent if you are a local coffee shop or cleaning shop or whatever. support all of the realtors. Make it clear that you're not necessarily like pushing to one, that you're pushing to the general community, but yeah, inviting them into your shop to partake and potentially pass on word of mouth. And First Up says, I collaborate heavily with 2 other agencies on a single client. This allows us to ping pong an infinite amount of traffic for the client. Yes. And in fact, this is another space where social media, we all are doing social media things, but yet we serve different clients. We're able to potentially try a new thing like Blab. We're able to potentially get our first couple of followers or gain followers from others if they show up sometimes. And some of that's a gamble too, but at the very end, we even got content out of this. There's something that might be a blog inspiration, or we can break this down to a podcast. So, collaboration I think is essential, but you have to understand what that looks like and how it's going to be valuable to your end goal.
Cosign.
Yay. Thank you guys so very much for coming. And like I said, there should be a link available. The replay will be available shortly after this. If you feel like you want to send it to anybody, yeah, I will totally give you guys some love. I really And if you feel like you want another Blab in the future, I would love to do that. I'm hoping to do it every 2 weeks. So hopefully we'll get a few more people. But like I said, it's still like shareable content. So
sounds great. Good to see you guys. Look forward to the next time.
Thank you. All right.
Bye now.